What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about body mount chops and cab mount chops. So if you guys are watching this video, you guys have probably thought about doing a chop or wondered why you would need one. So if you guys are like us and you guys want to stuff big tires under your Tacoma or your 4Runner, you guys will definitely need a chop, especially if you guys are running 33s and up. So depending on what tire size and what wheels you guys go with, 33s you guys may or may not have to do it, but I would recommend it anyways because you're going to need that clearance for when you actually take it off-road and when you fully stuff the tires into the fenders. So this 3rd gen Tacoma here, we have the tires off, we have it on the lift, and we have the fender liner pulled back just so we can show you guys everything that's back here. So this here is your cab mount. So this big hunk of metal here is your cab mount on the Toyota Tacoma, and as you can see here, we have outlined where we are going to cut on the cab mount. So for some reason Toyota made it where the cab mount kind of sticks further than the body of the truck, which is kind of stupid, but luckily it's an easy fix. All we got to do is chop that right there, put a filler plate on it, and then it will look the way it should look from factory. Another thing that we're gonna do on this one, just because this one will be running 35-inch tires, is that we're gonna be doing the pinch weld as well. So if you see here, there is a thin piece of metal that is welded together right here. It has marks on it right here for where we're going to be cutting it, and we're going to be flattening it so that way it doesn't chew into your tires when your tires get stuffed up in here. So most shops will bend it that way just because it's easier to do because you're hammering it this way, but realistically it's a lot better and will have more clearance if you bend it this way, because on this side there's actually a little nice pocket for this to sit into. So what we do is we'll cut it and then we'll hammer it from the inside and sit it flat this way, and we'll go all the way to up here. Alright guys, we got this thing chopped. Got the pinch weld flattened here towards the outside of the vehicle so that way you get as much clearance as possible. And then if you guys take a look here inside of this, there's actually this piece here that's on the back of it. This is one of the differences between the Tacoma and the 4Runner. The 4Runner will not have that piece, so it's a little bit easier to cut. And I'll show you guys later how this one differs than the 4Runner with the type of plate that you can use. And then if you look at it from the side profile here, we have it cut back pretty far, and the reason for that is because we want it at an angle like this. That way you get the maximum amount of clearance as possible. Some of the shops will just weld it on like so, and it'll be up and down, and as you can see it doesn't go past the body line. So what we do is we come in here, we trim the inside washer on the rubber mount there, and then this bottom one we cut even further back than that part there, so that way we can angle this piece as far back as possible to give you as much clearance for all that, you know, room for the big tires. So here's what it looks like when it's completely done. So first of all, you guys might see this part. So when we angle it back, you're gonna have this gap right here. So we fill that in with just the weld. And then as you guys can see on top here, we're as far back as this body line here, so that way, you know, your tire won't hit that. So we have a nice clean weld on top. We smooth the side right here just because we want it as tucked in as possible. Here's a low profile view of it. So as you guys can see there, it's really angled back as far as possible. And then of course we paint the pinch weld as well, so that way everything is nice and fresh. So we use a steel it so that way nothing will rust. But yeah, that's what it'll look like on a Tacoma. Alright, so now that we have all that done, we put the fender liner back. As you can see here, we trimmed a little bit. That's expected to be where this guy will be hitting with his 35-inch tires. We also put a self-tapper right there just to hold that liner back. And then when he gets his wheels and which tires he's going to be putting on it, we'll figure out how much of this we're actually going to be trimming. So depending on the offset, the tires, if it's an all-terrain or mud-terrain, will depend on how much we actually chop off of this part here. But until we get those tires in, we don't want to cut off too much, then it'll just be, you know, showing too much of the backside, which is not pretty, as you can tell. But we try to keep as much of the fender flare and fender liner as we can. So here we have a 2nd gen Tacoma, and we have the cab mount already chopped, and as you guys can see, there's no square or anything or like a gusset in there like the 3rd gen has. But it's very similar to the 3rd gen, just without that one piece. So the process is pretty much the same. You hack that off, you flatten all of this here, just like on the 4Runner, Tacoma, Tundra. So that's that there. Now we're just gonna weld it on and get it nice and pretty. We got here a 2nd gen Tundra that we just did the chop on here. So it looks very similar to the 2nd and 3rd gen Tacoma, but again, it doesn't have that little square that we have to do some more chopping on. But it's pretty much the same there. So now you guys can see that. We don't have to peel this back to do the pinch weld here, since it is more flat than the Tacoma. Now we're on the 4Runner. We're going to show you guys what the chop looks like here. So here we did this one a little bit different just because the actual bushing and the mount is different. So we're actually going to be using our round plates here, so as you can see. So this angle or this radius here will actually follow the radius on the rubber bushing there. So that way when this is up here, it looks like that, giving you the maximum clearance you could possibly get from a chop. And this will only work on the 4Runner, unfortunately, just because the way their body mount is, how it's narrow and it's not as big as the Tundra or the Tacoma. So we're able to do that with this. So just like the Tacoma, we went ahead and flattened the pinch weld here, and we're gonna slap some paint on that so that way it doesn't rust or anything like that. But all this will get hidden behind the fender liner, so you won't see any of that. And here is the final product after our round plates get welded to it. So as you can see here, it's pretty darn tucked back way behind this. So you're definitely not going to hit that at all. Here's a bottom view. So as you can see there, it follows the shape of that bushing. So it's as tight as you can really get a body mount chop, especially on a 4Runner. So here's the final finished product. So we cleaned up this little bottom corner right there, so that way it ties into the factory mount real nicely. We put a couple coats of steel it on there, so that way it will never rust. Now this 4Runner is ready to go up pretty much any size, all the way up to a 35-inch tire. When it's all done, you put your wheels and tires back on, and then you can really appreciate all that room you just created for your bigger tire size. And then now you won't be rubbing when you're on road or off road. Alright guys, that is going to be it for this video. Hope you guys got something from it. And if you guys are in the Colorado area, make sure you guys hit us up if you guys need a body mount or cab mount chop. And hope you guys like this video. Give it a thumbs up if you guys did, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.